Welcome to Lesson 1. We are going to be looking at how much utilities cost in this lesson. When you are making a budget, you need to consider your utilities. So understanding how the utility companies charge for those and understanding how to be efficient in your home is important to helping you construct your budget. I have included here a pie chart of some different budget items since you researched and wrote about budget items. So just wanted to see if you had some of these items in your budget. So if we look at this pie chart, you can see that there are items ranging anywhere from Starbucks to spa treatments, all the way to travel accessories, including rent. It's a whole smorgasbord of things that you have to consider when you are budgeting to live independently from month to month. And some of these items like groceries, pretty basic, rent, pretty basic, but did you consider toiletries or makeup or transportation to and from work? Even things like books and gifts, if you buy family gifts on their birthdays or Christmas or things like that, or books to read. So there's just a lot to think about when you are creating a budget. Okay, let's go ahead and look at utilities. How much do utilities cost? Well, what are utilities? Utilities include our electric, natural gas, perhaps, water. The way that electricity is measured is through a meter, and it's read each month by an employee of the electric company. And electricity is measured in watts. So the amount of electricity that's used is measured in watts, but then the amount that you pay is based on your kilowatt usage. Let's look at an example. So here we have a 60-watt light bulb, which is pretty standard. 60 or 70-watt light bulbs are what we have in our houses. If you have a 60-watt light bulb, that means that's how much it's using each hour. So if it burns for 2 hours, it uses 120 watts. 1 kilowatt, think of kilometer, kilo, that's equivalent to 1,000 watt hours. So in order to figure out how much you've used, you always need to divide by 1,000 to figure out how many 1,000 watt hours you have used. Electricity is then sold by that kilowatt hour. Here's something that you could write in your notes in order to help you on the practice. Here we have a kilowatt. This is what you would be billed at, and it's equal to however many watts you use over time. And then we divide it by 1,000 in order to come up with our kilowatts. In this example, this person pays 9 cents per kilowatt. So looking up here, we have our 60-watt light bulb here times 2 hours. So it used 120 watts. We would divide that by 1,000 to figure out what portion of a kilowatt that actually was. And we'll go through an example soon. But let's go ahead and look at some other utilities, such as natural gas or water. Water and natural gas are usually sold by the cubic foot. And what I want you to remember is that volume is three-dimensional, volume is cubed. So natural gas and water is sold by how much space they actually take up. So a cubic foot represents the amount of space the gas or water occupies, not the weight. Here we have a unit, CCF. I'll highlight that right here. This represents, here it is, CCF, whenever you see that, represents 100 cubic feet. You can think or picture 1 cubic foot as the space occupied by a box, like up here, that measures 1 foot on each edge. So 1 by 1 by 1, length, width, volume, all 1 foot. That's 1 cubic foot. I thought it was interesting down here that if you look at how much water we use, toilets use the most, followed by your washer. And I guess that's why many people are now buying high efficiency washers or low volume toilets in order to conserve, since those seem to be the biggest things in your house that use water. And then over here we have US natural gas. How is it used? Only 22% of it is used actually on residential. Thought that was interesting. Okay, so let's move on. Let's move on to other types of electric utilities. Other types of electric utilities, and we're not going to explore that so much here, but I'm sure you're very familiar with your cell phone. But there's also internet, cable, and some people have home phones. Oftentimes, though, people pay for those things individually and they can spend thousands of dollars. What you should consider when you're moving out and becoming independent is how to bundle. You can save a lot of money using family plans for cell phone or combining your internet, cable, and TV into a big bundle. Here's an example that has basic cable up to 50 megabytes per second for your internet, which is pretty quick, and a local phone, and you pay $100 a month. Pretty good deal for all three of those items. All right, let's try our first example, going back to electric. So in this situation, a certain electric mixer requires 125 watts. How much would it cost to run the mixer for a total of 90 minutes at a cost of 10 cents per kilowatt hour? And you can find how much you pay by looking on your electric bill. It'll tell you what you pay per kilowatt hour if you look. And if you're trying to figure out how many watts some of your electrical appliances use, say for example your hair dryer, oftentimes you can find it on the power cord. So in this case, we have an electric mixer. It uses 125 watts. So we take 125 watts times, remember our time, however long we run it. We ran it for 90 minutes, but look at what we're looking at here. We are charged 10 cents per kilowatt hour. So we need it to be in hours. 90 minutes is 1.5 hours. So we can multiply however long we used it times however long we used it times the wattage, but then we need it to be in kilowatts. So we always need to divide by 1,000 to be in kilowatts. And then whatever our answer is, if we multiply that by 10 cents, that will get us our cost, what we have to pay. So if we do a little math here on our calculator, we get 125 watts times how long we use it, an hour and a half, and that equals 187.5, but those are just watts, so if we divide that by 1,000, that tells us how many kilowatts we actually used, and we actually only used 0.1875 kilowatts, and we are charged 10 cents per kilowatt, or a fraction thereof. So times 0.10 tells us that we are going to be charged about 2 cents is all. And so I went ahead and wrote it out so that you could see it. I multiplied the numerator here divided by the denominator to get how many kilowatts I'm using times 10 cents per kilowatt. We don't even have a full kilowatt, so it makes sense that we would not pay 10 cents, we would pay less than 10 cents. In fact, if I rounded, because we don't have money out to this many decimal points, if I rounded, I would say that we are going to be charged about 2 cents to use this mixer for 90 minutes. So you can see that that's not very much. However, when you add your computer, your refrigerator, your dryer, everything else you plug in, toasters, it starts to add up over the course of 30 days. All right, let's look at an example now using a water bill. So in this situation, Emily's last water bill listed a previous reading of 7,123 cubic feet and a present reading of 7,171 cubic feet. So her water company charges 73 cents per cubic foot of water. What should Emily have been charged on her last water bill? So this is much simpler. We just start with her current reading, which is 7,171, minus her past reading, and that will tell us how many cubic feet of water that she used. And occasionally this can be measured in gallons as well, but we take that difference, and if we multiply it by the rate, which is 73 cents, we will find out what her water bill will be. And again, that's something that you can find out too from your water bill. What do you charge per cubic foot? You can look at your meter and you can keep track of what you actually use in a month. This can help you with budgeting if you need to conserve. So we find that difference is 48, and we multiply it by 0.73, 73 cents per cubic foot, then we find out that this month she will be charged $35.04 to use her water. Okay, let's look at one final example before we end. And this has to do with cell phone. And again, we're not going to look too much at cell phone in this, but we just want to look at cost savings because sometimes we want to compare different plans or compare different appliances to see which would be a better deal for us. In this case, Julianne has a cell phone plan in which she pays, let's see, she pays 15 cents here per text message, but she's thinking of switching to a plan that has a flat fee of $40 for unlimited text messaging. And she wants to know if that would be a good deal or not. Well, she has budgeted, thought about it anyway, that she texts about 800 messages each month. So, in order to figure out if it's a good deal to switch, let's see what she pays each month. So 15 cents times 800 text messages gives us $120. So we can see right then and there that this is not a great plan for her. She should not pay per text message. She should go ahead and use the flat fee. Well, how much is she going to save? Well, if she goes with the flat fee, she'll only be paying $40. So it looks like she would end up saving $80 per month, which is quite a bit, and she can use that towards something else. Okay, that concludes our lesson today on how much utilities cost. Hopefully now you will be able to identify and calculate costs for monthly utilities, including understanding how these utility companies bill you, and perhaps it'll inspire you to read through your family's monthly bills in order to see what they are charged per kilowatt hour or per cubic foot for water or natural gas.